I offer myself as a part of that movement. We are a nation of great people. We see this by the way Nigerians abroad are thriving. We hear the stories of those of them who left home with little more than a hope and a prayer and have changed the world abroad. Nigerians have smarts, ingenuity, drive, relentlessness, vision, and sheer force of will. We must be able to harness our strengths and make them work for us here at home. My fellow Nigerians, to quote the immortal words of the late US President John F. Kennedy, politics is too important to be left to the politicians. We must ask our government hard questions about the promises they made about our security, about power, about civil aviation, about health care, about women's rights. The world is changing. Time and tide in several countries swept away old orders and brought in new, more dynamic ones. Nigeria must not remain stuck in its past. We, you and I, can do it for our country too. We need to modernize, and quickly. For instance, we know that women in leadership and in government can accelerate growth for any economy. Yet, only 6% of our legislators in Nigeria are women. 6%. There are many, many competent, smart women who are more than ready to dig in and work together to rescue this country. We must draw them out and ensure that their voices are heard. We must stop recycling failed politicians and regenerate our leadership ranks with competent and experienced young men and women. Youth who have prepared themselves with the relevant qualifications must take over the mantle of leadership, because this struggle is about the future of Nigeria, not its past. The battle to reorient Nigeria into a strong, capable country requires competence, capacity, and character. And as a citizen who aspires to be president, I believe, in all humility, that I possess all three. If it is about competence, my work as a deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, who played a leadership role in rescuing and stabilizing the Nigerian banking system after the global financial crisis, speaks for itself. If it is about capacity, my work in the United Nations, reconstructing countries torn by civil war, or reforming the internal workings of the world body, is there for everyone to see. If it is about character, well, talk to my colleagues, my mentors, my friends, and of course, my family, and listen to what they have to say. Strong, knowledgeable guidance is needed as Nigeria navigates these difficult waters. And I offer myself for service with a solid track record of leadership. I am not here to tell you that there are easy and quick solutions to all Nigeria's problems. Far from it. Decades of economic and leadership mismanagement cannot be undone in a few short weeks or months. Things will be difficult, and painful choices will have to be made, collectively made. What I am here to tell you is this: together we can choose a new path. Together we can set a bold agenda. Together we can deliver for ourselves a different outcome. Nigeria will achieve greatness. I have not announced today the political party platform on which I intend to contest for the presidency. My focus for now is the people of Nigeria, and not on party platforms that have in the past been mere vehicles for capturing political power. While I have been approached by a number of political parties, the movement that I am part of will decide which one we will join. That decision will be based on commonality of vision and the imperative of a generational shift in leadership. And we will be announcing that decision in the coming weeks. Based on such a decision, we shall seek to build a formidable coalition of parties for the presidential election that together will represent a clear and credible alternative to the failed political leadership class that has enthroned corruption and incompetence in the governance of Nigeria. It is important that we begin to focus more closely on the individuals seeking elective office in our country and their qualifications in terms of character, competence, capacity, and track record. We have traditionally focused too much on platforms and structures that, although they are and remain a necessary part of our democratic process, in our national experience, they have mainly delivered the wrong candidates. Naturally, these candidates have gone on to be failed leaders. It is good candidates that will create credible political parties. Visionless parties cannot produce the best candidates. Therefore, I say, let us begin this conversation where it really matters. Who are you? What are your credentials? What are your qualifications? What's your character? And so on. Those are the things that should matter first. Let me discuss my policy agenda. My vision for this country, our country, is set in my new book, Build, Innovate, and Grow, which we released and launched 2 days ago. Build, Innovate, and Grow. Short title, BIG. In summary, however, the agenda of a government under my leadership includes the following. Section 1, leadership and governance. Number 1, we will compose a world-class first 11 team based on merit and inclusive governance to drive government policy in Nigeria. We will be ready on day 1. The appointment of all senior officials of the presidency will be announced within 48 hours. My government will enthrone evidence-based public policy, strategy, and risk management as tools of effective and modern governance. Number 2, we will establish and propagate through the educational system of Nigeria a foundational philosophical worldview for the Nigerian state, around which all Nigerians will unite in a common purpose. Section 2, nation building. We will lead a consultative political process in cooperation with the National Assembly and the state houses of assembly to achieve a constitutional restructuring of Nigeria and return our country to true federalism for stability and prosperity by 2021. That is 2 years from taking office. We will deliver lock, stock, and barrel a restructured federation. We will implement a 50-50 gender parity policy in all political appointments. There will be equal numbers of men and women in political appointments under the government that I will head. That is nearly double. That is nearly double the ratio recommended by the National Gender Policy of 2008, and that ratio was 30%. The government that I will lead will establish and implement a diaspora engagement and return policy and strategy as a new fundamental component of our national quest for development, as has been the case in China, in India, and in Israel. My government will build the Diaspora Commission, approved by the National Assembly, into an effective world-class institution to accomplish this important agenda. Our government will undertake a fundamental overhaul of the Nigerian police force that will emphasize training, equipment, and boosting the strength of the force by recruiting at least 1.5 million men and women, up from the grossly inadequate present force strength of 350,000 people. We will secure the lives and the property of Nigerians, I promise you. Section 3, the economy. We will establish an innovation-led economy with intellectual property and commercialization of local innovation as its bedrock. 2, we will establish a venture capital fund with a minimum of 500 billion naira as a public-private partnership to invest in the creation of new businesses by presently unemployed youth in Nigeria. The new businesses created with support from the Venture Capital Fund will in turn create new jobs. The fund will be managed by the private sector. The private sector partners will manage it while the federal government of Nigeria will be a core investor. Otherwise, if it is done anywhere else, politics of federal character and mediocrity and all sorts of things will come in. And the people who will get the venture capital finance will not be the people with the best ideas. They will be the relatives and the cronies of those who are in power. And that's wrong. We will reform energy policy to create an enabling environment for Nigerian households to be powered by renewable energy such as solar energy, wind energy, and so on, while industrial zones will be served by gas and hydro-powered energy. We will undertake a fundamental reform of Nigeria's healthcare system to assure quality healthcare for Nigerian citizens and remove the need for medical tourism abroad. Healthcare will have 15% of Nigeria's budget in line with the Abuja Declaration of the African Union in 2001. A world-class hospital will be established in each of the 6 geopolitical zones at a federal university teaching hospital. We will undertake a fundamental reform of Nigeria's education system to create skills and human capital that will drive Nigeria's industrialization and job creation. Education will be allocated 20% of the federal government budget with a progressive increase to 30% over 8 years. Let me conclude. I am here today because I want what is best for my country. We have no godfathers. We are just ordinary Nigerians who want a future that is very different from the sad reality of broken promises and unfulfilled national potential that has been the lot of the Nigerian people for far too long. But we know that with your support, we can bring about real progress in our country. To accomplish this, however, every citizen aged 18 and above must obtain his or her permanent voter's card and vote in the 2019 elections. Fellow Nigerians, this movement of the people, the real coalition of everyone and not a select few, belongs to you. Because it truly belongs to you, it will be accountable to you, the people. For this reason, we need to crowdsource our intellect and resources to move this country forward. To support the movement, I invite you to go to www.tobuildanation.com. www.tobuildanation.com. We must refuse to allow the political elite to continue to intimidate us with the idea that no one can replace them. They boast that they will outspend us and more. But we say to them, Nigerians will not be taken for a ride yet again. The time to sit on the fence is past, ladies and gentlemen. They made this mess. They made this mess at the ages of 30, at the ages of 35, at the ages of 40. Why do you think that at 70 years they can build our future? I'd like to end my speech by thanking my family, my lovely and ever supportive wife, who always challenges me to be the best man I can be. Thank you, dearest. To my sons and my daughter, I ask you to continue to be the amazing people you are. I am so proud of all of you. Now, 2 days ago when we were launching Build, Innovate, and Grow, my young daughter, who's just 15, launched big with 10,000 naira. Many people were challenged because of her own contribution. Many people came forward to support. If her contribution doesn't challenge you, nothing else will. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Nigerians, we can do this together. Let's get to work.